Hi guys, as we all know, Mohnish is a great investor. Even with his track record, he is also a great learning machine. He is still learning and improving his investment philosophy. In this clip, he answers the question: is buy and hold strategy a good thing? And he also discusses the first filter you must put when searching for stocks and how to improve your circle of competence.
So I think the thing is that it's not about, in my opinion, buying great assets and holding them forever.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already.
What does your normal decision calculus look like when you decide whether to sell an investment that you've held, other than opportunity cost for switching into new investments? Like for the one you just described, then what price would it have to go to for you to say, I'm out of this, even if I don't have an alternative to put the money in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so. Let me give you an example of why buy and hold is not such a good idea. So, from 1988 to 2000, the Berkshire investment in Coca-Cola, which both Arvind and I are enjoying. Cheers, Arvind. And basically, they put about $1 billion into Coke, and I'm going to exclude dividends just to keep it simple. But the billion in 12 years went to 12 billion, approximately. So Berkshire got about a 12x return from 1988 to 2000 on the Coke investment, kind of mid-20s per year return, very nice. And then from 2000 to 2018, it went up from from 12 billion to about 18 billion. So in 18 years, it went up 50%, about 2.3% a year. So they made about 25% a year in the first 12 years, and they made less than including dividends, maybe they made 3.5% a year. Clearly, and there are almost no moats. In fact, I would say there probably is no moat that is more resilient than the Coke moat. It's kind of like the ultimate moat. And so here you have two guys who are really smart, the smartest guys in investing, and they identified a great asset, they identified at a great price, they had a great run, but it hasn't been a great run for 18 years. And I think Warren at one point said, I think in the early 2000s, that it was probably a mistake not to sell Coke. Of course, today it doesn't make much sense for them because they have so much cash. They'll just end up going to cash, and at least they're getting a few percentage points. And there's a new CEO, and might change. He looks pretty good. After a few decades of idiots running the company, we're back to having intelligent life. So anyway, basically, so if you look at a business like let's say we look at MasterCard. So MasterCard has had an incredible run over the last, since it went public. I don't know the numbers, but I think it might be more than 50x in the last 10 years or so that it's been public. It's been a huge home run. And a lot of smart investors own MasterCard. The people who own it in descending order of percentage of the portfolio: Chuck Acre, Tom Russo, Sequoia owns it. It's about 7.6%. My good friend Guy Spear, Bill Nygren, Wally White, Tweedy Brown, Tom Gaynor's very small part of his portfolio though, and of course Warren Buffett, which I think is one of the two managers, and such, and so on. So it's an august list of people. Like for Tom Russo, it's like 12.5% of the portfolio. For Chuck Acre, I think it's 13%. So if you ask me what's going to happen to MasterCard from, let's say, 2018 to 2030, I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers are something like Coke. In fact, it would be, if you run the math. I mean, I think it's at 50 times trailing earnings. If you run the math using, the market cap versus the current earnings, which is 2% of the market cap, and then you start discounting that, and then look at what kind of return you want, and if I want a 25% return or something, I mean, you just can't get there. So I think the thing is that it's not about, in my opinion, buying great assets and holding them forever. I think probably the best thing to do is some middle ground where, if it's a tremendous asset like MasterCard, probably not a bad idea to let it run past 40 or 45 times earnings. But I would say at present prices, I would be a seller. I would take my money and move on.
How do you increase your circle of competence while looking globally, while looking for a PE of 1?
Yeah, so I think first of all, circle of competence was not in the commandments, because maybe it should be, but it's the baseline. So the first filter has to be circle of competence. So if something is not in your circle of competence, it just shouldn't be. It should immediately be dropped from consideration, regardless of the price. So we have to stick to our circle of competence. I think once we find that something's within our circle of competence, then we can look at the PEO ones and all of that and take it from there. Sometimes the PEO ones make it easy to get something into circle of competence, because, I mean, like if I go back to the IPSCO example, that the next 2 years earnings will, plus the cash, will equal the market cap. Basically what I needed to do was to handicap the odds of that actually being true. Just that statement. I didn't really need to understand the business that much beyond that, because there was no debt. And if this was true, then any fool could see that I still have the plants, I still have the management, I still have all the other pieces, and the odds are high that it probably will make some money in the future. So in that case, I didn't need to really, get into the weeds of figuring out exactly how strong or weak their moat was and whatever else, because I needed to spend a lot of energy on the resilience of the 2-year cash flows more than anything else. So I think if you get to these very low price stocks, it can make your life a lot easier. I mean, like I looked at some companies in Turkey where I can look at at a sliver of their assets, and the sliver of their assets exceeds the market cap, and there's a lot more assets. So I actually, looked at some of those assets. And so the thing is, I didn't really need to have a view on every thing that they own. I just need to have a view that they own enough that there's a lot of downside protection. And so I think the thing is, you first have to, the first filter is circle of competence, and then after that you get into all these low price PO1 and all that. And I agree with you that when you start applying all these filters, there's not much left. And Manga's response to that is, why should it be easy to get rich?
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe if you haven't done it already.